Welcome back once again, all of my low-carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have a very easy appetizer or side dish recipe, whatever you want it to be. Today we are going to make very simple keto garlic knots. And if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janetsdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you'd like to help support the channel, make sure you scroll down in the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So, while you do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Line a large baking sheet with parchment paper and set it aside. In a large mixing bowl, combine 56 grams or around a half cup of coconut flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 14 grams or around 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of dry oregano, a 1/2 teaspoon dried basil, and a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. Sift or whisk these all together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps in the dry ingredients. You can also, if you want to, change or adjust the seasonings according to how you want your bread to taste. If you want a lighter garlic flavor, you can always use less garlic powder. You can change or adjust the oregano and the basil to whatever seasonings you want your bread to have. However you want it to taste is up to you. Add 3 large room temperature eggs. Make sure they are room temperature so they stir in and have a smoother dough. Stir the eggs into the dry ingredients until everything is fully combined and all the dry ingredients have been moistened by the eggs. Add 1/4 cup of butter that's been melted and cooled. Make sure it is cooled slightly. You don't want to put hot butter in there. It's okay if a little bit warm, but not hot. Stir the butter together until everything is fully combined and you have a soft dough that's formed. Once the ingredients come together and are combined, then make sure you give the dough an extra 20-30 second good stir. This is just to help the coconut flour absorb any extra moisture and help the xanthan gum start doing its binding thing. Form the dough into a ball and massage the ball for about 30 seconds or so. This is just to test the texture of your dough. If your ball is coming together easily and smoothly, then you know you have the right texture. If it's crumbly or sticking to your fingers, then you need to adjust the flour to liquid ratio. So if it's crumbly, you need to add a little bit more water, a tablespoon or so at a time until the dough is coming together nicely. If it's sticking to your fingers, then just add a tiny bit of coconut flour until it's no longer sticky. After you've massaged the dough and you got the right texture, then break the dough up a little bit and gradually fold in about 60 grams or around a 1/2 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Stir it in just a little bit at a time. That way it's easier to evenly distribute it throughout the dough. Once the mozzarella cheese is evenly distributed in your dough, then again form the dough into a ball and massage it again for another 30 seconds or so. This is to make sure that the mozzarella is evenly distributed and again to test the texture of your dough. It's always important, especially with coconut flour, to have the right texture of dough. If you want to go the extra mile and really test your dough, then after you've massaged it, take a small portion of the dough and just roll it around in your hand. If it comes together into a smooth ball, then you know you have the right texture. After you've massaged the dough, form it back into a ball and divide it into 8 equal portions. Line a clean work surface with parchment paper. Then dampen your hands a little bit and take 1 portion of the dough and place it on your lined work surface. Then roll or press the dough out into a log that's about 6 to 7 inches long, roughly. It doesn't have to be precise, but you need it to be long enough to where you can form it into a knot. Now, normally With gluten dough, you would take this and actually tie the log into a knot. However, coconut flour, gluten-free doughs of any kind are very fragile. They don't hold their shape as well. So we're going to make kind of a fake knot. So once you form your dough into a smooth log, make sure it is smooth, form it into a U-type shape, then start pushing the ends towards each other, kind of like you're going to be forming a circle. Then take one of the ends of the dough and cross it over the other end. It's going to kind of look like a lowercase d with a little bit of a tail sticking out of the side of it. Then take the top end of the log and shape it around to form a circle around the crossed end. Then dampen your hands slightly to seal the ends of the log together. Now, while you are shaping your dough, it is important that you keep your dough moist and smooth. This is a very fragile dough. Most coconut flour doughs are fragile, especially if you're trying to shape them, because they have no gluten to keep them together or to keep them stretchy. So if the dough starts to crack or starts getting dry, all you need to do is dampen your hands and gently rub the cracks out. As long as you keep your dough moist and smooth, it should shape fairly easily. The key to it all is dampening your hands as needed, smoothing the cracks as needed, keeping it nice and moist and smooth. Once the knot has been shaped, place it onto your prepared baking sheet and repeat the moistening and shaping process until all of the portions of dough have been shaped into the knots. Now, if you want to make this a little bit easier when you're shaping and you don't really want to mess with trying to make a knot, you can also just, after you roll the portion into a dough shape, just kind of twist it around where it just kind of looks like a twisted log. It's up to you. That's a lot easier to shape it that way. Once your dough portions have been shaped and are placed on the baking sheet, set them aside for just a minute. In a small bowl, place 2 tablespoons of melted and slightly cooled butter. It can be a little bit warm, but you do not want it piping hot. Add 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese, preferably freshly grated, a half teaspoon of garlic powder, and a half teaspoon of dry oregano. Use a fork and stir this all together until it's fully combined and the seasonings have been evenly distributed throughout the butter. Lightly brush the butter over the knots or the twists, whichever way you decided to shape your bread portions. Make sure that the butter covers the entire top and sides of the bread. Then place into your preheated oven. Bake at 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes or until the knots or twists are lightly golden around the edges. Once they're done baking, remove them from the oven. If you want to, you can sprinkle a little bit more of shredded mozzarella cheese on the top of it. That's up to you if you want to do that. Then allow it to cool on the pan for about 7 to 10 minutes, knots or twists to firm up a bit. Then you can serve these warm or you can cool them completely. It's up to you there again. If you do have any leftovers, allow them to cool completely. Store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 3 days or in the refrigerator for up to 1 week. Eat and enjoy. And that's the recipe of the day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.